Hi, today is Wednesday the 29th of April, and yet again, for I think probably the third or the fourth time now, I have had to stop the video that I had just started recording in order to go and check the day and the date, because I cannot for the life of me remember them right now. I can't detach one from the other, because everything just blends into one, because every day is kind of the same in so many ways, that it's not like I can go, oh, today I went into that shop and I spoke to that person and I picked up that product, therefore that was Monday. The day before I went to that cafe and I had that tea and I met with that friend, that was that day. And then the day before that I went to the gym or the spa, and I went for a walk on the walking machine, or I went for a swim, or there's and I spoke to these people. There are none of those things that used to exist in my life before currently exist. Okay, so I'm texting people and I'm in contact with them, but I'm doing that all day, every day anyway, and because I'm not seeing them, and because it's just a piece of text, I'm not looking at the person and talking to them, there's no visual kind of reference there, and I'm a very visual person, so it doesn't stick in my mind. So I couldn't say, oh, I spoke to, for example, Alex yesterday. I mean, I wouldn't know when I last spoke to Alex. Was it yesterday? Was it the day before? Was it the day before that? It's hard to keep up, and I end up like scrolling through my Messenger and my WhatsApp apps, trying to figure out who I have spoken to recently and who I've neglected by accident, and it all gets a bit kind of confused and overwhelming at times, just trying to keep up with that. I guess what I'm saying is my apologies for the fact that my brain is a little bit scrambled these days, and I can't separate one day from the next. So if I repeat myself at any point, do you forgive me? Because I'm talking about life and emotions and feelings, and how they're affecting us right now, and what we can maybe do about them in order to help ourselves and protect ourselves and grow from this experience. But I might be repeating myself because I'm talking from a stationary space. Like, I have not left my apartment, I have not been out, so I don't have tangible evidence of what it's like out there at the moment, and that's quite dissociating. And I have what I've read on the news, and what I've kind of watched via various videos that are out there. Lots of videos that are up one minute and then vanish the next, so you can read into that what you will about the nature of those videos. And I have information from various groups, local groups that I'm a part of on social media, that kind of tell me what's going on locally. But when I'm more talking about it from a spiritual level and from an energetic level. So as an empath, it's what am I sensing is going on, not just within me and the people that I know and I'm interacting with on a regular basis, but also out there in the collective, things that I am picking up inside my body, and things that I am reading and watching and then responding to energetically and cognitively as well. I think we're in a bit of a weird place at the moment, and I know that this is really subjective, and it depends on where you are in the world, because we're all moving through this situation at different speeds. We went into it at different speeds, and we're going to come out of it at different speeds. So my experience is just it's an experience based on what is happening in Spain, and I'm in Mallorca, one of the islands of Spain. So that's what's happening here. It's not what's happening in America, and in America every single state is different anyway, or most of them are, and it's not what's happening in England, where the whole thing has been a lot more relaxed from the start, but I also think because of that maybe it will last a bit longer. I'm not sure. And I'm trying not to focus too much at the moment anyway on the different numbers and the statistics, because I don't think that the way that they are presented is particularly helpful. They are there to scare us, to make us think that this thing is as terrible as possible, and I've chosen to opt out of supporting that and responding to it, because it doesn't help me or my nervous system. It doesn't help my emotional well-being, and I don't think it helps the world en masse to support these postings and publications. I think there are ways of presenting data that are unbiased and are neutral and are helpful, and that's great. I'm happy to be a part of those and to read those, but I don't think that the way that the newspapers or the news on the TV are presenting things is really in our best interest. It's all to sensationalize the whole thing and to put fear out there and to spread it and to make it this, big drama. And that's not to negate the seriousness of the situation. It is very, very serious. People are very sick. People are dying. People's lives have been changed. People's businesses have been brought to a standstill or crippled. But it's there is a way to healthfully navigate a situation and to look at it, and there is a way to just disappear into the dark cloud of doom and despair and hopelessness. And I'm saying this because I have an experience of both sides of this equation. I'm not totally calm and collected and peaceful and rational about it all the whole time. I am going through this grief cycle just like everybody else is. So I have my rational moments and I have my irrational moments. I have my good days and I have my bad days. And the bad days just can come out of nowhere, and sometimes I'm not even sure what they're triggered by. And I know that other people are experiencing this too. And I think it's important that we hold space for ourselves, and we love ourselves, and we forgive ourselves, because what we are going through is huge and is very different, and it's not something that the majority of us ever imagined possible. This was nowhere in my mind before it happened. I might have watched a few films with similar scenarios in them, which I really wish I hadn't watched now, but it was fictional. It was way out there, and it was all like kind of conspiracy and fiction and everything, and it wasn't something I believed was possible, or I didn't think I was going to see it in my lifetime, and I didn't really think that anyone was going to see it in their lifetime unless it was a really, really kind of like dystopian future. So to be experiencing it now all of a sudden it's shocking. It's shocking for all of us, and I think that it's important that we give ourselves a break and that we allow this shock to travel through us and to be felt and heard in whatever way it needs to be felt and heard. So if you need to cry, if you're feeling emotional and you need to cry. Seriously, you need to cry while you're dancing, cry while you're in a hot bath, cry while you're standing under the shower and you're just washing it all off, cry into your pillow, cry into your hands if they're clean, cry into the neck of your cat or dog, watch a sad film and cry about that. Just let it out in whatever way you can. Don't hold it back. And I think sometimes as well, like I found that it's really useful if you're feeling like you've got loads of energy trapped inside of you and you're not quite sure whether it's good energy or bad energy, but it's definitely restless energy, to just put some music on really loud. So put headphones on if you need to. Put the music on, make sure it's really energetic, happy, kind of get up and go music. So it's going to be non-triggering in that respect, and just dance, and like either dance in front of a mirror or shut your eyes and just feel your body and let your body express itself and just go with it. And if there's something stuck inside, if you are in the moment, if you are relaxed, if you trust to that moment and allow yourself to feel and express it through movement, the tears will come up, the grief will come out, and you will sob and weep, but afterwards you will feel cleansed and you will feel a lot better, and that will kind of pacify you for the next day or so at least. And I found that to be really, really helpful, as is meditating. But there are different forms of meditation, and I think at the moment one of the things that I found most useful, and I find it useful on many different levels, and you know, if you're struggling to meditate right now because your mind is too busy and there are too many words in there, too many thoughts going on, too many fears, then I suggest you try look for like a recording on you know, Apple Music or Spotify or YouTube for yoga nidra, and do one of those practices and hunt around until you find someone with a voice you like, and that, you know, a recording where the pacing of it works for you, because some of them are really fast and some of them are really slow, and it depends on you as a person and I guess how long you want to be lying down. Do you want to spend 10 minutes doing a yoga nidra you know, progressive relaxation session, or do you want to spend 40 minutes or an hour doing it? But I find it really helpful. It quiets my mind, it relaxes my body, and afterwards I feel really, really restored. And I personally like doing the longer ones where you move slowly through your body, because you allow yourself to rest on and touch and honor and see and hold each separate area of your body that may have tightness or trauma or pain, and just release it. And even if you can't totally release it at that moment at one time, the more you do it, the more you repeat it, the more your body will grow to trust you, and the more you will be able to do so. And you know, it will put you into a healthy trance state, which is the most optimal state for healing. So you will go into rest and repair. So even if you aren't sleeping peacefully and deeply and restoratively, you will be able to get that restoration from this practice. I'm trying to think what else might be helpful right now. Be creative. Definitely be creative. If you have, you know, I mean, I guess it depends on what appeals to you. Does drawing appeal to you? Does painting appeal to you? Does modeling appeal to you? Does baking appeal to you? Does sewing appeal to you? Collaging, you know, flower arranging, home arranging. You know, there's great therapy to be found in just rearranging your house, moving ornaments around from place to place, sorting through a wardrobe and color coding it, or you know, taking all of the winter clothes out and putting them away, or having, you know, one wardrobe is a summer wardrobe, one wardrobe is a winter wardrobe. There are lots of different things you can do in the home that will make you that are creative. You're changing the way that you arrange a space, and that is creative. You're using that side of your brain. That's therapeutic. And creating something like a child, allowing yourself to play, whether that is in baking or modeling or drawing or painting or sewing or knitting, that's also really therapeutic. Knitting especially is really therapeutic because it's bilateral stimulation, so you use your left hand and your right hand at the same time to do the knitting. And if you're thinking about something that is stressing you out at the same time as you're knitting, it can be released through that process. And it's a really good therapy for anxiety and stress and like panic attacks and things like that. And also it's like if you choose, you can make dishcloths, so it's a tiny little square, it's really quick and easy to do, and then you can use it to wash up with or as a flannel. You could make a scarf. I mean, those are like really simple, easy things to do, and they won't take you too long to do. Depending on the thickness of the yarn that you use. Obviously, if you make a scarf out of like really fine yarn, that could take a while. But you know, there's simple things to do. Or I like to make socks. They're a bit more complicated and they're a bit more time consuming, but I find that really therapeutic and really satisfying. I don't necessarily make both pairs. So this is where it's a little bit quirky. And I made an art project out of it actually years ago called Single Socks. And it was about honouring the single sock, so that these single socks were like pieces of art. And they were then framed and presented as a piece of art, as opposed to worn as a pair of socks, because socks take a long time to make, and then it seems a shame to wear them and then they wear out really quickly, because handmade socks don't last as long as shop bought socks. And so it's a lot of work for something that doesn't last very long. So I wanted to make them into pieces of art so they would be honoured and respected. And then the notion around the single sock thing was like, you adopt a sock. It's a sock who needs a partner, and that sock becomes your partner. And so you pick the sock as your soulmate, or your lover, or your friend, or your child, and have it on the wall. I guess in the same way as like you'd adopt a horse or a panda or something, or sponsor a child, but in a more kind of tangible, present way, because you end up with the actual sock, although it's not a living thing. So I like to make single socks. I find that really a rewarding process, because I pick a different pattern each time, and a pattern that's going to challenge me, and so I might have to go back over it and redo it several times in order to get it right, or I might have to go off on my own and invent something in order to fix something that I messed up. And some of my socks work and some of my socks don't. The one that I'm trying to make at the moment was supposed to be a yoga sock, so it was supposed to have an open heel and an open toe, and I just picked any yarn out of my yarn basket, and I had the needles were the right size, but the yarn was like obviously too thick, and so I started knitting it, and I realized that this sock is more like a leg warmer. It's like huge. It's not fitted, so like it's just gonna fall off if I wear it, and so I had to turn it into a leg warmer, which should be interesting, because then I was like, well, at some point I'll probably make the other leg warmer, because that would be more useful, but I don't know if I have the same coloured yarn, so it might be kind of like multicoloured leg warmers, and the yarn is multicoloured anyway, it's variegated, so it could be very glaringly colourful, and I don't know, maybe I'll have to donate it to a theatre for fancy dress or something, we shall see. But it's my just for the hell of it project, I'm not trying to create anything beautiful, I'm not trying to do anything with this, I'm not trying to achieve anything or prove anything, it's just a kind of like sit down, watch a movie and chill project. So I encourage you to get a project or several projects like that. They're really helpful, and also maybe do some yoga too, because yoga is so grounding and healing, and if you pick the right teacher and you pick the right form, then that is a complete and utter coming home to yourself. And I think that right now, more than ever, we need to feel that coming home to self within ourselves, because we've spent so much of our lives being distracted by everything that's going on the outside and in the world, and it's all so busy, so on all the time, so rush, that we feel like we're running to keep up, and yet we're never quite getting there. We never have the time to do the things that we want to do. We never have the time to see all of the people that we want to see. And now we've stopped. And now we've got all this time. But we're not used to having all of this time, and we're not used to spending quite so much time with ourselves. And so there's a lot that comes up, and it can be incredibly triggering. Because you're suddenly having to deal with like your whole shadow side, all of those things that you've just chucked over your shoulder throughout your whole life. Like, oh, I don't want to deal with that right now. It's too difficult. It's too emotional. It makes me too sad. It makes me too angry. So we just throw it into that big backpack on our back, and then we carry it and we carry it and we carry it. And it doesn't matter where we live, where we go, how far we travel, we cannot get away from that backpack. It is always with us, attached to our back. And even if maybe in the moment of transition, when we move from one space to the next, whether we change job, change relationship, change country, we might get a really short reprieve, but then it's there. It's caught up with us again, and it comes crashing in, and it feels even more intense and uncomfortable than before. And I think right now, that's happened to us all again, is that our backpack has come crashing into our backs even more closely and uncomfortably than ever before, and we're having to deal with stuff, like big stuff that we have suppressed for years and years and years, all of our baggage, all of our shadow stuff, and it needs patience, and it needs space to be heard and held, and it needs love, and it needs imagination, and it needs play, and it needs time and understanding and acceptance, and I think if we can be aware that we are going to be more emotional at the moment than previously, and that this is okay. It is just our smaller, younger, hurt parts speaking up, finding that they are actually being heard for the first time in ages, because the world is so much more quiet. So we're not distracted. We can actually hear them now, and we're like, yikes, what's that? Where's that coming from? But actually it's been there all along, and it's been trying to talk to us all the time. We just haven't been present enough to hear it. And so instead of being scared of these things, we need to embrace them like a parent, like a mother or a father or an older sibling. And we need to reach out and hold these parts of ourselves, rock them, hug them, comfort them, kiss them, and tell them that we're here, we're there, and we're not going anywhere. We've always been here, and we just weren't really listening before, or we weren't really understanding what they wanted before, or we were scared of them before, but we're not scared anymore, and we are here, and we're listening, and we're prepared to do whatever it takes in order to fix these wounded parts and release the trauma that they are holding, because that's the only reason that they're still there, is because they are stuck looping on this trauma, this thing that happened to them. This little energetic imprint is inside us, and it's stuck, just echoing that trauma over and over and over. And the individual echo might not be that loud, but when you collect them all up together, and there's many from each year of our lives, big ones and little ones, then that volume is pretty intense, and we are hearing it now big time, especially if you're sensitive, and if you're on a path of healing and growth and development. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts for today. I'd be interested to hear what you're going through, what your thoughts are. Share your experiences with me. I think this is the great time to be doing that with each other, to be coming together, to be owning our stuff, to be putting it out there without shame, to be saying, hey, this is me, and I love myself, and I'm not ashamed of myself. I have nothing to apologize for, nothing to be guilty for, nothing that I need to hide away. I am unique, I am individual, and I am fine just as I am. So yeah, I encourage you to kind of look into that, feel into that, and see where it takes you, and get in touch if you want. Get in touch just to share your story. Get in touch if you would like to speak to me, if you want me to hold space for you. You can find me either here in the comments section or on my website, which is lemonrosepetals.com, and we can get together and chat, and that would be great. Okay, I wish you much love and health and peace.